Tension surged across global media as North Korea test-fired a new intercontinental ballistic missile, one it claims can reach the continental United States. Unlike earlier displays meant only for regional intimidation, this launch was calculated, bold, and deliberately timed to send a clear warning to Washington, Tokyo, and Seoul. Footage released by North Korean state media showed Kim Jong-un personally overseeing the operation, presenting it as both a technological milestone and a message of strategic defiance. The question immediately raised around the world was simple yet alarming. Is this weapon just a test, or a real capability that could strike American soil? This test is not an isolated development. Over the past decade, North Korea has gone from short-range rockets to an increasingly sophisticated lineup of long-range systems like the Hwasong-14, Hwasong-15, and Hwasong-17. Each new missile has demonstrated greater range, higher altitude, and more complex launch readiness. Experts note that the latest variant, believed to be an upgraded Hwasong-18, signals North Korea's shift from experimental systems to operational nuclear deterrence. The country's progress has defied United Nations sanctions, global condemnation, and repeated diplomatic pressure. With every launch, Pyongyang is moving closer to building a credible strike force. Analysts studying the flight data believe the missile could travel between 13,000 and 15,000 kilometers on a normal trajectory. That range places major American cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and potentially even Washington, D.C., within reach. Although North Korea often tests missiles on a lofted trajectory to avoid flying over neighboring countries, the altitude and burn duration suggest that if launched at a standard ballistic arc, the missile could cross the Pacific. Some Western intelligence agencies remain cautious, saying range alone doesn't prove reliability, yet there's no denying the potential threat is nearer than ever. One of the biggest challenges for long-range missile capability is surviving re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. At hypersonic speeds, warheads face intense pressure and temperatures above 7,000 degrees. U.S. experts have long claimed that North Korea struggles with warhead shielding and structural integrity at these speeds. But recent launches show signs of improvement, including modified nose cone designs and advanced heat-resistant materials. Some intelligence sources now believe they may be close to solving, or have already quietly solved, the re-entry puzzle, perhaps with limited but functional accuracy. The missile's range is frightening enough, but the real danger lies in whether North Korea can mount a compact nuclear warhead onto it. For years, debate has persisted over miniaturization. However, recent displays of mock-up warheads and Kim Jong-un's public statements about tactical and strategic nuclear readiness hint that the capability may exist. U.S. military analysts increasingly operate under the assumption that North Korea now possesses warheads, small enough to fit onto an ICBM, even if not yet perfected for accuracy. If so, the country has already crossed a critical strategic threshold. Unlike silo-based systems that are easier to monitor, North Korea uses road-mobile launchers and possibly even rail-based or underground platforms. This mobility gives them enormous strategic advantage. Launchers can be hidden in tunnels, moved at night, or dispersed in mountainous regions beyond satellite reach. These tactics make preemptive strikes nearly impossible. In recent footage, the new missile was shown being launched from a transporter erector launcher, suggesting rapid deployment capability with minimal warning. This complicates both intelligence tracking and potential interception. The United States, Japan, and South Korea issued swift responses, calling the test a serious escalation. Tokyo temporarily halted flights in impacted air corridors, while Seoul raised alert levels and conducted joint exercises with U.S. forces. At the United Nations, emergency discussions resumed, but China and Russia blocked stronger punitive measures, arguing that sanctions have failed and pushing instead for negotiations. This political deadlock only emboldens Pyongyang further, as they rely on strategic divisions between major powers to avoid consequences. Washington's missile defense network includes ground-based interceptors in Alaska and California, along with ship-based Aegis systems and THAAD batteries stationed across the Pacific. But intercepting ICBMs is one of the hardest military challenges in existence. Success rates in real combat conditions are unknown. Pentagon officials publicly maintain confidence, but off-the-record comments suggest concerns about saturation attacks, decoys, and maneuverable re-entry vehicles. If North Korea launches multiple warheads or dummy payloads, stopping all of them becomes extremely difficult. North Korea recently unveiled what it described as a new solid-fuel rocket motor, manufactured using carbon fiber materials, and claimed the engine will power future intercontinental ballistic missiles. State media portrayed the design as a significant step up in thrust compared with earlier motors, and leader Kim Jong-un has openly pushed for development of multiple warhead delivery systems to increase the likelihood of penetrating missile defenses. Some analysts suggest the new motor could be intended for a system like the Hwasong-20, a long-range missile that Pyongyang has promoted as capable of striking targets across the continental United States. Enkit Panda of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace called the Hwasong-20 the current apex of North Korea's long-range ambitions, and observers expect further flight tests before year's end to validate performance. The parade that showcased the new motor also displayed a range of other developments, reported hypersonic missiles, cruise missiles, a novel multiple rocket launcher, a suicide drone launcher, and upgraded tanks, artillery, and unmanned systems, underscoring Kim's dual focus on bolstering both nuclear delivery options and conventional force capabilities. Held to mark the ruling party's 85th anniversary, the event was accompanied by forceful rhetoric from Kim Jong-un, who framed the buildup as necessary to deter adversaries and project power across the region. This test doesn't just threaten the U.S., it may trigger a regional arms race. South Korea is debating whether to develop its own nuclear deterrent. Japan, traditionally pacifist, is increasing military spending at record levels. The United States is being pushed to reinforce its Pacific forces, while China watches closely, using the crisis to justify its own military expansion. Meanwhile, Russia sees North Korea as a useful counterweight to U.S. influence, increasing silent cooperation. The balance of power across Asia is shifting, driven by one missile launch after another. Whether or not North Korea has fully mastered every technical challenge, this latest test proves one thing: its capabilities have grown too advanced to ignore. The fact that analysts now seriously consider a strike on the U.S. mainland possible marks a historic turning point. Diplomacy, sanctions, and military deterrence are all being tested at once. The world is watching a small, isolated nation force itself into the global strategic equation through sheer military persistence. If you found this breakdown informative and want more in-depth coverage of the world's most dangerous military developments, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the world take North Korea's new missile seriously, or is it still more propaganda than power? Your voice drives the next episode.